Going to take a draw here.
And Turtenwald playing a really straightforward, old-school version of Mono Black Devotion, not even messing around with any scry lands.
No, this is what he did in the Envy, too.
22 swamps, 4 Mutavaults.
Yep. 26 lands is more than normal for Owen, but besides that, I mean, there's no real changes. We'll take a look at this Thoughtseize really quickly before we analyze Owen's deck of a Deicide, a Divination, Azorius Charm, Syncopate, a Supreme Verdict, and a Plains.
The DSI potentially important here if Owen has an Underworld Connections, otherwise will probably be ignored. Owen has 1 Ultimate Price and 1 Bioblight in his list. I believe splitting the removal spells like this is probably heartbreaking for him because he's been playing nothing but 4-ofs in this list, 26 lands and 1 2-of every single time we've seen it on camera.
Yep. Thoughtseize will take care of, it looks like a Syncopate. Adrian will take a draw. That's a Plains, pass the turn back. Over to Turtenwald. Picks up a copy of Underworld Connections. And this looks to be a pack rat, and it is. Sullivan is going to cycle an Azorius Charm. He will take a draw. A new card coming now as well for his draw step. That is a Mutavault. This is a Divination. 2 more cards coming. Some nice velocity being built here for Adrian as Turtenwald will untap. See if he has a 3rd land to play.
The problem is if Owen is aware of the construction of Adrian's deck, he knows that he is with scant few answers to a pack rat. No Banishing Lights, and of course Detention Sphere, the most notable answer.
Turtenwald just going to come in for 1 before passing the turn back over to Sullivan. Does not play Underworld Connections on that turn. Could have, opting not to. Looks like we might see a pack rat activation here from Turtenwald on the end step, but I'm with you. If he knows about the configuration, maybe his play is different.
And he knows that Adrian still has the Deicide in his hand, so he's probably not going to spend any resources on this Underworld Connections until he can draw a card in the same turn.
But of course. Sullivan looking at his hand, going to play this land. It is a Hallowed Fountain. And going to pass the turn back as Turtenwald's going to discard a Hero's Downfall to make a rat token. Turtenwald will untap. He will take a draw here in just a moment. There it is. Again, a Desecration Demon is what he's found for this turn, but again, we know he has Underworld Connections.
And no 4th land for Owen, so he can't really do anything besides make rats here. I think he's just probably going to try to pace this game for a while. Once he finds a 4th land, maybe he can Thoughtseize and make a pack rat. Maybe he can play Underworld Connections and draw a card, play Desecration Demon. But I think for the time being, he's just kind of going to be doing this.
See if he's interested in making a rat in the main phase or not. This is an attack for 4. It could be for 6. He says just 4 is good with me.
I think Owen has enough respect for a sweeper here. In fact, quite a bit of respect that he's not going to add a 3rd rat in combat. In fact, isn't going to be adding a 3rd rat at all.
Yeah, it's time for a Thoughtseize. You're going to see a couple of Islands, an Elspeth, a Sphinx's Revelation, a Verdict, and a Deicide. Respect for the sweeper, indeed. I wonder what he takes here.
With the cards on the table here, I wouldn't be surprised if Owen took Sphinx's Revelation, knowing that now that he knows about the Supreme Verdict, he's not going to do anything sloppy, and Adrian might just cast it straight away next turn.
Decisions here for Turtenwald.
But it feels like he has Hero's Downfall to answer the Elspeth. Okay, he's going to go a completely different route and just try to win
just get
by
really
beating
aggressive.
down.
Yeah. So I'm going to draw, play an island. See what he finds this turn. I can see both sides of the story there.
Yes. I mean, he has 2 paths, right?
Yeah.
He can try to play a short game or try to play a longer game. He's trying to go with a shorter game.
Back to Turtenwald we go.
And that Mutavault's a huge draw here for Owen.
Yeah, that can speed things up.
Needs the 4th lane anyway.
Yep. Now does he want to go Mutavault, maybe activate as well as Pack Rat? Or does he just want to play Connections and try to draw a few cards? It looks like it'll probably only be 1 because of the Deicide over there for Sullivan.
I would imagine that the play this turn is probably attack, animate the Mutavault, and make a Pack Rat token.
And this is a discard of Underworld Connections. No sense in keeping that. And there's your activation. Yeah, he wants to get in for 8 points of damage right now.
And what's nice about this setup is now, if Adrian plays Elspeth next turn, he can't minus to take care of the pack rats. They're only 3/3s. If he pluses to make three tokens, Owen goes, okay, Hero's Downfall your Elspeth, attack with my tokens. Adrian has to block, and the game might be just too fast for Adrian to deploy the Sphinx's Revelation.
Maybe even the one of Bioblight comes into play there as well.
Yeah,
just to clean up the game.
A lot of possibilities.
So Sullivan is thinking things through right now about if he wants to take damage. Do I have anything I can do here? It feels to me maybe he has a Quicken in his hand. Maybe he wants to try to quicken and cycle that into a Supreme Verdict. Who knows? Hey, he's just going to ref for 2.
And yeah, Adrian realizes kind of the amount of pressure that he's under here, and that Elspeth is likely to not be able to get it done.
Pretty big draw there for Sullivan. He picked up a copy of Plantar Cleansing. I think it might be worth it to clean all this up. Now, one thing that this does is it lets Turtenwald know, all right, he's on this version of the deck. No spheres to worry about in the future games or even this one.
Yeah. I like that rev a lot from Adrian. I think a lot of players would have just assumed that he would have played Elspeth there, try to block and set up a bigger rev, but Adrian realized he was under the gun quite a bit there.
He needs that life and needed those cards. 6 mana now. That is an Elspeth. See if that's going to stay up or down. It's going to go down to take care of the Desecration Demon. Hollow Fountain going to come into play tap before passing the turn back over to Turtenwald, who has a couple copies of Hero's Downfall. Also does have Mutavault in play. A little stuck on lands at this point. All that means is that he's got all spells.
And that's another spot where I think there's a lot of players there that the instinct would have been play Elspeth and plus it. But Adrian is aware, you know, I can win this game without having to get too greedy. There's a chance that Bile Blight shows up. I just want to make sure this Desecration Demon dies.
So Turtenwald's going to fire in with Mutavault. Into that Elspeth, play a 3rd land pass, represent Hero's Downfall right now. Sullivan going to play an island. Simply pass the turn back, representing a bevy of things at this point. Turtenwald does draw a card. In comes Mutavault. This is going to be an attempt. Looks like we might see a Hero's Downfall here from Owen. That's what that will be. Adrian with a Quicken. See if he finds anything that he likes. He does not. So Sullivan will take 2. He'll go down to 7. And that'll be his entire turn for Turtenwald. Just to plains before passing the turn back from Sullivan back to Turtenwald. We might continue to see some more attacks in the Mutavault. You mentioned in the last match the bane of existence for blue-white decks.
Yeah, this card's very challenging to answer. I mean, they had to play their own Mutavault in part as a concession to Mutavault.
It's time for Lifebane Zombie. Let's see what's going on over here. Oh, that's what's going on. Sphinx's Revelation, along with the Deicide, and Azorius Charm, and Plains.
And you can see now Adrian getting paid off for all of the conservative play earlier. He's paced the game in such a way that he gets to set up a big Revelation.
You see 5 cards added, plus 6 for his draw step. So let's see what he wants to do here. 6 brand new cards, plus the 3 already existing. That means there's 9 hanging out over there.
I believe that most players in the room, had they drawn the cards that Adrian drew over the course of this game, would have lost, and we would be in game 2 right now.
This is a Plains after Jace does tick up. Wouldn't surprise me either, but Adrian's experience with this blue-white deck, he has quite a bit of it.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in Milwaukee, we watched him lose in the finals, but he put on quite the display.
Can't remember if it was his top 8 or top 4 match, but there was one for the ages, yeah.
It was him against Jared Roca in the top 4, and it was one heck of a match to watch. Attack here with the Mutavault and Lifebane Zombie. Triggers from the Jace, so long as Sullivan does remember him. We'll make this an attack for 3 total points of damage. Sullivan taking a look here. Looks like it may be time to cast an Azorius Charm. The question is, where's it going to go? Mutavault looks like it needs to go home for a little while. And now 2 points will come across. Sullivan going to go down to 8. Turtenwald looking at a pretty poor hand, all things considered.
Well, the Grey Merchant still gives him some long shot way of being able to steal the game, but it is slipping away.
There's a Hero's Downfall, going to go after Jace on the upkeep. This is Dissolve on the upkeep.
And Owen did this on the upkeep because Adrian had enough mana to dissolve last turn on Owen's turn, so it would have been basically free for him to cast it. At least he has to use mana on his own turn.
Elixir, Jace, and a Temple of Enlightenment are what Sullivan has turned over. And Jace on his own will go to the bottom. Elixir more important here for Adrian.
Well, I think that's one of those spots where all the cards are of approximate equal worth. So whichever the 2-card pile is the one that Adrian's going to take.
Temple of Enlightenment. Going to scry looks at the top card to the top. This is an Elixir, simply passing the turn back with mana at the ready here is Sullivan. he does have his one of Render Silent in the grip. A card that he has liked a lot in blue-white. There's a Gray Merchant. See if he has any interest in maybe countering this. That's almost a little bit low, sitting at 8.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably more dangerous than most of the cards that Owen can deploy at this point.
He will Render Silent. Now, of course, he has a virtual 13 at this point, and there's a Cyclonic Rifts. They pick that up. It's a pretty nice turn there for Sullivan. He gets to untap now, all these things. Yep, move Jace down. Planar Cleansing, and a Supreme Verdict. Couple of Wrath effects.
Kind of an odd one.
Yeah.
This might be another one of those, I take whichever one is 2 cards.
Yeah, we'll see. Cleansing does kill Jace, of course. The potential, excuse me, for it to kill Elixir. So I'm going to take Verdict, maybe just taking the cheaper card as well here. Sullivan with a Temple of Enlightenment, take a Lickskipoo, leave that card on top.
And you can see last turn why Adrian's a fan of having some of these one-up bounce spells in the deck too. It's when you have Sphinx's Revelation in your deck, all the game becomes about is just keep your head above water. And Revelation and the leftovers will carry the day for you. So cheap ways to break serve are really valuable.
And Mutavault to the grip, 2 Temple of Epiphanies to the bottom. Simply kick it back over to Turtenwald, who's got to rebuild his board. Did pick up a copy of Underworld Connections, but Sullivan has had a Deicide in his hand for some time. Last Breath is going to take care of that Mutavault. This is exactly how Adrian wants the games to go.
He is picking Owen apart right now.
There's Lifebane Zombie. There's the grip. You see the Verdict? There's a Mutavault, a Temple, and a Deicide. Turtenwald looking at a Bile Blight and Underworld Connections. All he can do is pass the turn back over to Sullivan, who's going to shuffle everything back in with the Elixir, gain 5 life, go up to 13.
And a lot of juicy things for Adrian to find right now off of that reshuffle.
Yeah. And of course, even though things are going great here for Sullivan right now, things may change after sideboard, but this always does feel favorable for blue-white in game 1.
Yeah. Although Owen got off to a pretty good start here.
Yeah, I mean, not bad.
Adrian had to play very well to get to this spot. I mean, it looks like he's in a dominating position now, and he is, but he could have easily had some missteps there around turns 4, 5, and 6.
Rev going to go to the grip. Azorius Charm and company going to go to the bottom. That's a Mutavault. Pass the turn back. Turtenwald says, I have seen enough. Let's save some time. Adrian Sullivan does win game number 1 here over Owen Turtenwald. Blue-white control up a game over Mono-Black Devotion.
Owen realizes that, you know, he has to win this match. Of course, both of these players need to win the match. A draw does not cut it. That's why they're playing right now. And time could be an issue. So rather than let Adrian, you know, Adrian's deck is going to take a while to win the game. Better just to pack it up and move on to the sideboard.
And this is not Turtenwald's first rodeo as well. I think he knows when he's beat. We'll take a look at the sideboards here. You're going to start with Owen. You've got that in front of you.
4 Doomblade, 4 Duress, 2 Erebos God of the Dead, 2 Dark Betrayal, a Wreath of Bones, a Bile Blight, and a Pithing Needle. The cards I like in the sideboard here, a Pithing Needle, a Wreath of Bones, 2 copies of Erebos, 4 copies of Duress. Owen has 6 dedicated anti-creature slots, the 4 Devour Flushes, the Bile Blight, and the Ultimate Price. Those are easy cuts. You make space for 2 more, and I think he brings in all of that. But Pithing Needle, a great answer to the Planeswalkers, of course. Read the Bones. It's a slow matchup. His life total is not under duress here, so just drawing extra cards is very powerful. And 2 Erebos for Duress. No explanation needed there. We've seen those cards do excellent work against blue-white control and Esper for the duration of the format.
Are you prepared for some one-ofs?
I am.
Well, too bad if you said no, which you didn't, because you didn't have a choice.
There's 11 one-ofs, I believe.
Yeah, there are 11. This is so Adrian, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
Celestial Flare, Glare of Heresy, Blind Obedience, Debtor's Pulpit, Deicide, Jace Memory Adept, Negate, Dispel, Ratchet Bomb, Trading Post, Opportunity. Those are all ones to go along with 2 Last Breath and 2 copies of Gainsay. I imagine we are going to see, let's see, Deicide to take care of connections. That's a good place to start. Of course, Erebos as well. You've got Jace Memory Adept as a card drawing engine. Negate to take care of maybe some of those Thoughtseize effects, things of that nature. You've got Opportunity as a 5th Revelation.
Yep.
I gotta like that one. Maybe Dispel, maybe not. Maybe additional Last Breath. He's already got some in his main deck to take care of Mutavault and Pack Rat. Mutavault, oh, so annoying for this deck. Maybe Celestial Flare, maybe not. The thing about Adrian, watching him play this deck, he's very good at playing this style of deck. This is very much him, how he sideboards with it. You'd have to ask the guy on the left side of the screen.
Well, I've watched Adrian play this deck before on and off camera. I know he's going to bring in the Debtor's Pulpit. I know that he's going to bring in the Ratchet Bomb. I'm pretty sure he's going to bring in the Opportunity. The Jace Memory Adept, I've also seen him play to good effect. I think he wants the second Deicide as well. Ratchet Bomb's a pretty cool card for Adrian, and it sort of fits his philosophy with this deck. He really values flexibility and versatility. Ratchet Bomb is something that's capable of answering Underworld connections, which is the most problematic card that Owen brings to the table in the matchup, besides the discard spells. And in the games where he doesn't have Underworld connections, it's totally suitable for killing Pack Rat or Desecration Demon or Lightbane Zombie or whatever else. So it's a really flexible card. It answers Owen's most dangerous card and is never dead. DSI comes with the risk. That card's super high upside, but it does come with the risk that there's just no targets. Ratchet Bomb always does something.
That's true. Both players taking a look at those opening grips. Adrian looks like he may have sent it back really quickly.
Yeah.
Not like what he saw. So Turtenwald going to keep his 7. Things do change dramatically after sideboard. So.
Yeah, Owen there had a lot of creature removal. I don't think he drew any of his explicit creature removal, the Bile Blight, the Ultimate Price, the Devour Flushes, but still, that's where Mono Black loses percentage points in game 1. Is just every so often you draw a dead card and you need all of your resources to beat blue-white. Post-board, he becomes a lot more precise.
Make sure Adrian has the appropriate number of cards. He's going to send it back here again. Not interested in what he sees.
Yeah, I think the initial motion there was Adrian just finishing up shuffling or whatever, but that looked like an honest to goodness mulligan.
Yeah, that was a no thank you. You may have saw William Huey Jensen walk on by. Good friend of Owen Turtenwald. Wants to see if his 2 buddies can make top 8s this week and redo guarding the top 8 of the Invitational. And now Owen duking it out. Down a game though. So hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. See if Sullivan likes what he looks at here. And doesn't look like the answer is yes. So down to 5 we go.
Really rough to mulligan against Mono Black in the post-board games too, because you're just going to be staring down a hail of duresses and Thoughtseizes.
Yeah, your hand is about to be picked apart. And you have to hope for the best off the top of the deck. Of course, you know Turtenwald's played this matchup at timer 20. So
Sure.
He knows exactly what he's looking to do in every stage of the game. You see Adrian hoping for the best here. Turtenwald will shuffle it up, and we'll see what Sullivan can find for 5.
Blue-white control, though, still functional on 5-card hands.
Absolutely.
Adrian's list, too, with several divinations help out a lot in these kind of scenarios as well.
Yeah, we'll take a look. All right, good enough. And we're going to see exactly what it is. An opportunity at Jace and 3 lands, one of which is a Temple of Epiphany. That's as good as you can hope for in 5, I think.
Sure.
Maybe that opportunity is a divination, but whatever.
And Adrian, you know, he's sideboarding again. You see the opportunity here. He's trying to add more ways to resist and overpower these kind of discard spells, but on 5 cards, it's very challenging to do so.
There goes Jace. Sullivan will draw a card. Temple of Epiphany is where he's going to begin. Take a look. Get some info. Keep that card on top. Pass it back to Turtenwald, who will take a draw. Hero's Downfall is what he's found. Maybe it's a Pack Rat. Oh, it is. The pressure is on right away. Sullivan will drop a Plains. Pass the turn back over to Turtenwald, who will draw. It's an Underworld Connections for Owen now. See what he wants to do on turn number 3 here. Start by attacking. Maybe we'll see an activation. Maybe we won't. And we will. He's going to get aggressive here. Make a Pack Rat. Attack for 2. Sullivan goes down to 18. Sullivan will play an island. Does he have a divination? He does not. All he has is a Quicken, which he will cycle. And now he will play an elixir before passing the turn back.
And Owen sensing, you know, again, he saw Adrian's hand. There's no sweeper there. He can safely assume, based on what the cards he saw in game 1, that there's no detention spheres. So he can be pretty aggressive with these Pack Rats.
Time to tap some mana, perhaps. Is it time for an activation of Pack Rat again? Looks like no. Just going to put down Underworld Connections, pass the turn back. Turtenwald stumbling on mana again.
Although this is a good hedge this turn.
Bunch of mana. Here's a Jace. Take it down. Mutavault, Divination, and Azorius Charm.
This is step 1 for Adrian getting back into this game, obviously.
Yeah,
just finding some source of card advantage.
Even though Jace is going to die, I mean, you just want to get cards from it. That's it. You take it up, it can die Hero's Downfall. So you just get your cards from it. Sure, it'll die to Pack Rat. Can play a mini Fog, as it were. if he can work his way towards opportunity, he might have a brand new game here.
And this is, you know, if you're Owen, you hate seeing this card right now because, you know, this requires some resources for him to finish off. And as you mentioned, the opportunity is still in hand. And if Adrian's ever able to get to that card at a reasonable life total, then that can undo and then sum that mulligan to 5.
So there's your split. Div and Mutavault. Charming to go to the bottom. Hard to pass up that 2 pile. Maybe Turtenwald's got a discard spell in store here. Here's an activation on World Connections first. Swamp is added. See a Thoughtseize over there for Turtenwald.
And drawing a land this turn's a big deal for Owen, as it now allows him to activate Pack Rat or do something else with 3 mana, which he has a lot of stuff to do, and draw a card off Underworld Connections.
One Pack Rat goes one way, the other goes the other. And he will activate, get Desecration Demon out of here. So 3 damage will be dealt to Sullivan. He's going to go down to 11. Sullivan will draw a card here.
And Owen can be much more aggressive about discarding to Pack Rat now that he has the insurance policy of Underworld Connections. Things can only go so bad for him now.
Well, one thing that can go bad for him is Planar Cleansing, a card that Sullivan does have a lot of copies of. So that's a realistic thing to be scared of.
Well, Adrian is 2 lands away and 2 white sources of mana away.
This
so
is true.
Requires some good fortune for Adrian to be able to get to that card on time.
Yeah, there's still two white mana away here. There's a Ratchet Bomb. That's not so bad. Now, of course, those Pack Rat tokens, even though it doesn't look like it, they do have a converted mana cost of 2. So Adrian will have to work his way up with the Ratchet Bomb.
It'll be interesting to see if Adrian has the resources and time here. He has an Elixir to gain 5, and he's a couple turns away from that Ratchet Bomb being able to take care of these Pack Rats. Not clear if he has the time.
Pack Rat doesn't waste too much time.
No.
Turtenwald going to do a little bit of math here. Run through the permutations of his hand, see what he can do to close this game out as fast as he can. Again, Thoughtseize hanging out over there. Looks like that's where he's going to start. So we're going to see what Sullivan has. We know about Opportunity. What's the rest? Looks like it's an Island and maybe a Quicken there.
I believe Divination.
Divination. Oh, yes, from earlier. I apologize. And so he will take Divination. Now there's an Erebos. Yeah, Elixir's going to shuffle some stuff back in.
And Owen saying here, you do not have time to cast Opportunity.
Yeah, pretty much. Ratchet Bomb's going to go up to 1, of course. Here's an attack for 9. And Erebos is online. Tough spot here for Sullivan. Can't forget he did mulligan to 5 this game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But Turtenwald is now picking him apart.
And the tough part is Adrian doesn't even have a draw like Supreme Verdict here because he's missing double white.
No D-Spheres either.
Yeah, and no D-Spheres in the list. Although it surprises me in a list like Adrian's that you wouldn't have 1 or 2 of that effect in the sideboard. I guess you're always just all in on Planar Cleansing.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you want to cleanse.
I feel like I would rather Detention Sphere against certain decks, like mono blue, builds a mono black. But the sideboard's probably pretty tight.
It does hamper the way you have to build, too.
Yeah.
There's an Island. And we saw Sullivan activate the Elixir in response to Erebos, of course, so he could gain the life. Turtenwald, going to take a draw. Activate the connections, go down to 16 to do so. This is a duress. Opportunity and a Hallowed Fountain. Bye-bye Opportunity. Looks like Mutavault may be on blocking duty.
Yeah. And
here come the doofuses. I'm not even sure it matters.
Yeah, Adrian can block 2, and 2 Pack Rats are lethal with an activation, because that's 8. So I don't think there's anything for Adrian to do at this spot.
And you get to activate 2 Mutavaults. You get to block 1. Erebos block there. Owen will discard. And that'll do it. So one good game deserves another. Owen Turtenwald does win this game. Mono Black Devotion and Blue White Control are tied up. We'll play a third and final one here between these 2 great players.
Adrian did have a functional 5-card hand there. A couple more pieces there, and he could have made a game of it. But Owen's draw was also ruthless, and that's just the way that Mono Black is post-board.
Game number 3 between these two players will just be underway in just a moment. Of course, if you are just joining us, we do appreciate having you all weekend long. Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, and Matthias Hunt, along with Andrew Shrout and Nick Miller on the sideboard. It is the StarCityGames.com Season 2 Invitational. It's been a fun weekend so far.
It has, and this is our first tournament of Season 3.
Yeah, this is true. This is Season 3 underway here, this Standard Open. You know who won the first one of Season 1? Owen Turtenwald.
Defeating
Andrew Shrout.
our now esteemed colleague over the sideboard, Andrew Shrout.
Maybe Owen broke him.
Maybe. just a retirement match after that?
That was it. He couldn't take that monobuck green-white. No more.
Yep. If I recall correctly, he was defeated by Pack Rat, which would have been...
That's a good memory
I'm not saying that's what caused Andrew Shrout to ratchet back the amount that he was playing competitive Magic, but it is worth noting.
But you're not saying that.
When you're telling the story, it is worth noting.
What happened? Why did you stop playing?
Yeah,
well, Pack Rat was in play, and well, that's good enough for me.
I have this green-white deck with some sweet synergies, and I'm trying to do a mixture of things, and Owen's draw step did not matter past turn. Once he had his third land in play, his deck could have been 58 swaps, and I would have lost.
And that's why Shroud's with us now.
And now Shroud is with us.
As the story goes.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure that's not the first person that Turtenwald has dispatched and ended the careers of.
Right.
Arguably the best technical player in the world right now is who we're watching doing battle against someone he's known for a long time, Adrian Sullivan. Again, Turtenwald from the Milwaukee area, Sullivan from Madison. Those guys play, I can't imagine how many times they've played against each other and played in the same tournaments.
And this is kind of a big match, I think, for Adrian. You know, you're growing up, you're one of the guys on the scene, influential member of the community, an early writer for the dojo. Owen's a kid that, you know growing up, you see him at PTQs, probably looks up to you, asks you about deck advice and how to play or whatever. And now Owen is Owen Turtenwald.
He is the guy.
The best player in the world. And, you know, it's important for you in these spots to prove that you can still hang. You know, I had this myself, PTQing in the Southern California area when I moved out there, and players like, you know, Sam Stein, who didn't have the resume that I had when I first got there, but started posting results, even like Shion and LSV. And your matches against those guys, it matters a lot to you because it's a measuring stick for you.
And he's got one game to prove it. It should be a fun one to watch.
I know Adrian doesn't think he's as good as Owen now, but it still matters to be able to feel like you can hang.
Both players going to lay out their opening 7. See if Sullivan can find 7 to keep. The answer is no very quickly. Turtenwald going to take a look at his opening hand. See if he finds what he's looking for.
I also really like that Owen has, you know, what appears to just be core set lands as his basic swamps. It just really frames the story of this is all business. I'm not here to be fancy.
No.
I'm not here to impress anyone. This is just work for me.
I'm here to win matches.
Yeah.
That's it. He's done it a lot over the course of his career. I've known him for a long time. Let's see if Sullivan can find 6 to keep here. Some unfortunate timing for mulligans. A lot of lands in his deck, too. I wonder what the hands he's been mulliganing are, but has not found what he's been looking for. 6 cards coming. It's good enough. We're underway in game 3. Elixir to begin. Turtenwald draws a card for the turn. Let's see if he's got a discard spell. He has a Pippin Needle in his hand.
Again, a good answer just to the Planeswalkers he can reasonably assume Adrian has in his deck.
Yeah, for sure. Temple of Epiphany here for Sullivan. Leave that top card on top. Turtenwald picked up a Mutavault for the turn.
I'm not a huge fan. I defer, again, to Adrian's expertise here. I'm not a huge fan of Elixir in the post-board games because I feel like the game is much less about sculpting a specific sort of game plan and more about just, can you overcome the card advantage attrition kind of a fight. Mulliganing and then drawing an Elixir is very punishing.
It is time for Thoughtseize, but Render Silence says, I don't think so. In comes a Mutavault. Sullivan's going to go down to 18. Sullivan will take a draw. Is it time for a Jace, perhaps? It looks like it is. The Architect of Thought will tick down. It's a Quicken, another Jace, and a Supreme Verdict.
And I've seen Adrian do some incredible work with Jace Memory Adept against Mono Black Devotion over the last couple of months.
How to split these up will be tough. Looks like it'll be Jace versus Turtenwald, showing that he has some respect for that card, but Sullivan says, I don't need that right now. So to the bottom, that'll go. You have to imagine that Sullivan's Jace that's in play is going to die to that Mutavault in just a moment, even though Turtenwald did pick up a copy of Underworld Connections.
And Owen's hand looks very land heavy.
Yes, it does. Sullivan's going to untap. He's going to take a draw here. That is another copy of Jace. He's going to take that down again. This is basically just a divination. And there's, now that is Adrian Sullivan. In a nutshell right there. You got Darksteel Ingot, you got Debtor's Pulpit, and you got an opportunity. Sure.
Yep.
Why not? Opportunity going to go to the bottom. The other is going to go to the grip. Got a land to play.
Darksteel Ingot Planar Cleansing is adorable.
Ever heard of it?
That is really charming.
Hollow Fountain going to come into play tapped?
Because it says destroy everything, but it's indestructible.
So is that a
combo? That's a combo.
That's what that is. Yeah, that's really good.
I guess he had to cut the Azorius key rune that used to be in that slot once he added Planar Cleansing to the deck.
Mutavault's going to take care of Jace yet again. This is an Underworld Connections. Pass the turn back. We'll see if Sullivan has a deicide for this. Make sure that Turtenwald can't get any advantage off of this card. Sullivan's going to tap some mana. There is the Ingot.
Yes.
This is elimination. Oh, my goodness. Look at him go now. Followed up with the Temple of Epiphany. This is arguably the best turn I've ever seen in my entire life. Going to leave the card on top. Pass the turn back over to Turtenwald. Turtenwald draws another land. He's going to activate Connections. Go down to 19. Let's see what he finds now. On the cheese. Is that 6 lands and a needle?
I believe so. There's just nothing going on over there.
That's insanity. Activate Mutavault. Get in for 2. Wow. Sullivan going to untap. He's going to take a draw here.
And Owen's deck is so main phase oriented that, you know, Adrian can pretty correctly assume that he's flooding out.
Especially after sideboard.
Right. It's all discard spells, creatures. There's not that much in the way of creature removal. If you're playing against the bill with green, maybe you think there's maybe some abrupt decays hanging out. That's reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, the only instance really is like Hero's Downfall, maybe a Bile-Blight here and there. That's really about it. Turtenwald going to draw a card. Well, there's one finally. It's a Thoughtseize. See exactly what Sullivan's working with here. You see a Last Breath, a Supreme Verdict, a Quicken, and an Azorius Charm. But the best hand I've ever seen here. But
the pacing of this game is going really poorly for Owen here because Adrian's not going to die anytime in the near future with the Debtor's Pulpit now in play. He has cards in hand to allow him to protect himself, and we know that he has the more impactful draws.
Yeah.
And Owen's hand, of course, is just a mess.
It could lock up the Pulpit with the Needle, but I mean that's not exciting,
right?
You know, that's not what the Needle's there for. Thoughts he's going to take care of the Azorius Charm. Player's going to make sure the life totals are kosher here. That's all. They look to be good to go.
And needling the Pulpit is more attractive. You know, if Owen had Desecration Demon in play, I'm sure that wouldn't even be a hesitation, but he's only attacking with a Mutavault. So can you afford to commit your Pithy Needle that way? And Owen's only got 1 in the list. This card's supposed to do a lot of work here.
He's got a real decision to make with this card, how he wants to use it. In comes Mutavault. Again, players making sure life totals are good to go here. That's all. Yeah, it looks like Turtenwald may have played a land already. Not too sure. So, again, we're just making sure that everything is kosher between the two players before we do move forward. Getting confirmation to make sure that Owen has played his land already for the turn. He's got, 800 in his hand.
Yeah.
He has not played a land yet. He's turning the Thoughtseize.
And even though it seems silly, this is important for Owen to sort of keep up the posture that there's significant cards in his hand.
Yep. Yeah, so he will play his land now as he let his turn off with Thoughtseize, then fired at Mutavault and has not played a land yet for the turn. So Sullivan will untap. It's time to take a draw in just a moment. Looks like he may elixir on the upkeep.
Yeah, the 2 copies of Jace, especially in his graveyard right now, are really attractive draws.
It's pretty appealing, yeah. Fantastic card right now. Especially when you can protect it with Pulpit.
And, Owen's got Erebos in his deck, so you never know when, if you tap out, the shields might be down for gaining 5 life, so the graveyard is stocked enough.
Oh, after a little shuffle and present action here. Sullivan's going to take a draw. See if he finds something that he likes. Yeah, we know about a quick and a last breath over there. Pretty good hand right now for Adrian. Not the greatest. Still looking for a revelation at this point. Maybe a few more lands, but doing all right. You see Turtenwald does pick up a copy of Pack Rat. See if he wants to deploy this card now and how he wants to use it.
But he is aware, you know, again, of the quick and supreme verdict, so he can't do too much with it.
I'm just going to pass the turn back. No attacks to be had. Sullivan going to play an island. He'll kick it back to Turtenwald. Hit the needle, maybe to break the parity here.
I would imagine this going on that pulpit.
Yeah, we will get confirmation on what's happened there. Yep, and it will name planes, as it does need to actually name the card that pulpit is on, much like Underworld Connection.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yep.
It grafts the activated ability onto the card in question.
Now this is a Great Merchant of Asphodel. You saw Last Breath take care of that Mutavault. Sullivan's going to untap. Time to take a draw. There's a Plains. Right now, all Adrian's looking for is Revelation. That's the card that puts the door, kind of closes the door in the game.
Even Elspeth.
Yeah, that's not so bad either. Turtenwald looks like he drew a copy of Thoughtseize. Turtenwald's got plenty of draws to get back in it. He's going to start by attacking for 2. Put Sullivan down at 13. Here is Thoughtseize. Yeah, this will give Sullivan a moment of pause. What it feels like to me is that Turtenwald's trying to figure out a way to open the door for the Pack Rat.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be a quicken in response. And now a Supreme Verdict to get that Gray Merchant off the board. Thoughtseize is going to resolve, however. Let's see what he's got over here. Deicide and a Temple of Enlightenment. Nothing too crazy going on.
It's the only thing that allows Owen to convert these lands into functional cards.
Turtenwald just going to play Pack Rat, pass the turn back. There's Temple of Enlightenment. Take a look at the top card. Does it stay? It does. And even though Turtenwald has flooded out very, very badly this game, perfect play has given him the opportunity to get back in it.
Well, Pack Rat sort of, since it doesn't care about the text on your cards, it doesn't matter if you draw out too many lands or too many spells.
I see what's happening here. Are you the leader of the Pack Rat fan club?
It's a synergy with your draw step. It's a very potent combination.
In come the 2 Pack Rats. 2/2s right now. I imagine they may be growing a little bit larger. Looks like maybe not, though. Looks like he might just be holding steady.
You know, if we can be honest with each other.
We always can. We always are.
Is Pack Rat the most powerful card on the planet? No. Is it pretty lame? Yeah, it's pretty lame. I think we can all agree it's pretty lame.
Speak for yourself. I like it. And there's another one coming into play right now. Actually, putting lethal on the table right now is Sullivan. Underworld Connections to draw.
This is lethal.
This is the lethal attack. Is this 2 lands that Adrian's going to show? This is a okay.
Oh.
All right. That's a Cyclonic Rift with Overload.
It could never be anything normal with Adrian, right? It's got to be something like this.
I thought Adrian might have been dead there.
Yeah.
But he was playing. Turtenwald's got to do a little bit of rebuilding now. There's Pack Rat. Does have connections in his hand right now. Sullivan not at a high life total simply because Pack Rat does not take long to get the job done.
Nope.
Perhaps it's time to needle.
And all these these tempo cards or these game playing cards that Adrian has, like Cyclonic Rift and Elixir Immortality, they are really potent in conjunction with Sphinx's Revelation.
Yep.
They aren't that good in this matchup until he gets to that point.
Yep. Needle going to take care of that Plains again. Debtor's Pulpit is shut off. Again, Sullivan is looking for 1 card right now if he can find it, and that is a start in Jace. There's a Planner Cleansing. There's a Rev. Boy. And that's a Plains. Rev was the one he was looking for. Jace helped him find it. There's your split. Cleansing isn't the worst looking card right now, but it does kill Pulpit. It does kill Jace. Rev's going to go to the grip.
Yeah, Adrian just has too much of a board of his own at this point to take the card.
However, what we might see here is just a little baby Rev for 3. Maybe hoping to chain it to another Rev.
Well, I don't think he really has the time here to say, you know, I'm going to take this hit and then untap and Rev again next turn.
That's how I feel too.
These Pack Rats are exponential damage coming across, so He's probably got to rev and just hope that the top of his deck is productive enough.
Underworld Connections there for Turtenwald. Uses it immediately. Picked up a copy of Desecration Demon, along with a Swamp and a Mystery card in the grip here. It's time to get into the red zone. Looks like one of those rats is going to chew on Jace here. See Sullivan weighing his options. And now Turtenwald will activate Pack Rat yet again, so this is going to be a quicken, maybe hoping to hit into a Supreme Verdict. Does not. So what this means to me is that Adrian has decided, I'm going to just make a very large rev next turn.
Yeah. There's no way he spends a mana quickening if he's going to rev also in the same turn.
There's an island. His rev right now would be for 8.
But these pack rats
they can become 5s.
It's 15.
If Turtenwald wants to make them 5s, he can. This is a little bit troublesome here. I may prefer to see a revelation on that turn from Sullivan instead of just cycling the quicken. But will Turtenwald go for it? I think is the bigger question. This is a pretty good place to start with Underworld Connections.
I feel like he almost has to go for it, because are you going to really let Adrian rev and try to play the game from there?
Yeah, I prefer not to. Turtenwald coming in. This is an attack for 9. Sullivan's got to do something now. Yeah, Turtenwald shrugs his shoulders.
Yeah.
I will pass priority.
So he can make this an attack for 15, so Adrian can't rev for 10. So he can try to rev, I guess he can try to rev into Quicken Supreme Verdict, but I don't think he has that many Quickens left.
Azorius Charm isn't out here.
Azorius Charm is fine. But again, it's, you know, he has to calculate he wants to rev for as many cards as possible, of course, but every mana he spends cuts out some combination of outs.
Of course. And now he's trying to figure out how much to rev for. Celestial Flare could be an out in this situation if he did board that in. There aren't a ton of outs, though. You know, he only has 2 Azorius Charms in his deck, and it is 75, excuse me. And then there is 1 Celestial Flare in his sideboard, a couple copies of Last Breath. Now Adrian's going to try to figure out how much I'm supposed to rev for.
And he's living, it looks like if this is a rev for 3, that is still leaving him access to Quicken Supreme Verdict mana.
Looks like it might be a rev for 4. Let's make it 5. I almost feel like you may have to just go for Azorius Charm, assuming he left him in his deck.
So if he revs for all of his mana -2 and draws Azorius Charm, does that save him if Owen makes 2 rats? So then that becomes 8 damage coming across. Or sorry, it's 10 damage coming across. Yes, so if he draws Azorius Charm, he does survive.
Yep. 4, 5, 6. See if he finds it. Looks like he did. Gonna make a rat. Now it's an attack for 12.
I imagine Owen's going to be passing again. He does have lethal coming across.
Yes. The question now is, do you Azorius Charm the actual rat or a token? Probably, I think it may be better to do a token. It's tough to say because like you're able to cut one of Owen's draws if you just put Pack Rat back on top. Either way, Adrian's going to end up taking 6 points of damage here and go down to 6. I guess if he has like a verdict, then he'd rather just kill everything.
Right, yeah.
But we don't know what Adrian was able to draw here. So this is 4 mana. This might be a Jace. And it is. That's ticking down. Take a look at the top 3. There's a Rev, Render Silent, and a Plains. So now you got to split those up. Sullivan with a couple of cards in his hand right now is going to make the split even more difficult. Revelation versus has Turtenwald. So let's see what Sullivan wants to take. He says, I'd like the Rev. Other cards are going to go to the bottom. Does he have a Verdict or a Planner Cleansing right now?
It's tough enough to play against blue-white control when they're just playing a stock blue-white list. When you're getting hit with these Render Silence and these Cyclonic Rifts and all these Deader Pulpits, all these weird cards Adrian has access to, it makes the matchup even more challenging to play.
The Cyclonic Rift currently in the bin for Sullivan. Does he just have to pass the turn back is the question. Turn 1 wants to know exactly how much mana you have access to. What kind of tricks can you pull right now? We saw Mutavault was the land for the turn for Adrian. I think Turtenwald deciding maybe, do I want to make a rat or do I want a Hero's Downfall, that Planeswalker? Not sure exactly where we are in the turn right now, but we'll find out in a minute. And Turtenwald says, I'm not going to do anything in a turn. So Turtenwald will draw a card. He'll activate Underworld Connections, down to 18.
This is another attack where Adrian just gets to present lethal and say, what's going on?
Yeah. And that's what he's going to do. Activate Mutavault. There's a hero's downfall. Of course, Mutavault can't tap for mana because it just did come into play.
I mean, Adrian could last breath this potentially.
Not the worst thing in the world.
Attention Magic players, if you have not yet collected your prize from the Legacy Open Trial.
So there that goes.
At the Open Series stage, he's waving his hand.
And 6 is important here because if Adrian even is able to answer one of the rats, then Owen can simply go, all right, make another rat, and I still have 2 3/3s coming across.
4 mana, ref for 1, up to 7. Is he looking for a Azorius Charm, maybe?
Well,
yeah, and that's going to do it. Owen Turtenwald is going to win this match over Adrian Sullivan 2-1, and he is moving on to the top 8. Chances are he is going to be the #1 seed. Impressive win for a player who was flooding out like crazy in that 3rd game.
His hand, I believe, was 6 swamps and a pithy needle at some point in that game. You know, held onto his land.